Good morning, my dear students. How are you? I hope you are all fine and safe. My dear students, today we are discussing one of the important chapter in 6th class. Our government of Andhra Pradesh this academic year 2023 introduce new topic in 6th class. Previously, habitat. Previously discussed habitat, living organisms and non-living organisms. In this class, discussing one of the important chapter in 6th class. My dear students, we know that we are all living organisms, living things. Living organisms means have a life. Living organisms like plants, animals, human beings, and microorganisms. Yes, our chapter, the living organisms, characteristics and habitat. Characteristics and habitat. See the picture. First, discussing keywords. Discussing keywords. Adaptation. Adaptation. What is meant by adaptation? The organism can survive in a particular place from external environment. The organisms can survive in a particular place by using some factors from external environment. Habitat. Habitat. What is meant by habitat? Habitat means living place of an organism. Living place of an organism. The dwelling place of an organism is called as habitat. The dwelling place of an organism is called as habitat. We know that different types of habitats are there. They are terrestrial habitat, aquatic habitat, desert habitat, forest is a habitat, mangroves, etc. These are the different types of habitats. Next keyword, aquatic habitat. Aquatic habitat. The organisms live in water. The organism live in water. That is aquatic habitat. We know that aquatic habitat means the organism live in water. Habitat means the living place of an organism. The living place of an organism. Right? Next, living. Living. Living means life. Living means life. Next keyword, biotic component. Biotic component. Bio means life. Biotic, living components. Living components like plants, animals, human being, and microorganisms. Next keyword, reproduction. Reproduction. Reproduction is one of the important life process in all living organisms. The production of young ones or offspring is called reproduction. The production of young ones or offspring is called reproduction. The ability of an organism to produce young ones or offspring. The ability of an organism to produce young ones or offspring is called reproduction. Next keyword, excretion. Excretion. Excretion is one of the important life process in all living organisms. What is meant by excretion? The removal of waste materials from the body. Removal of waste materials from the body is called excretion. The elimination of waste materials. The elimination of nitrogenous waste materials from the body is called excretion. Next keyword, respiration. Respiration. Respiration is also one of the important life process. In your previous classes or lower classes, we learn respiration means inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation and exhalation. But higher classes, respiration means respiration is a biological process. The complex molecules are break down into simple molecules. The complex molecules are break down into simple molecules and oxidized. Oxidized means addition of oxygen. Addition of oxygen. And they produce energy. They produce energy. Energy is essential. Energy is required. So this is called respiration. Next keyword, growth. Next keyword, growth. Growth means survival. Growth is the fundamental property in all living organisms. Growth is the fundamental property in all living organisms. Growth is essential from birth to death. Growth is essential. In all living organisms, grow throughout their life? No. In all living organisms can grow throughout their life? No. Only few organisms can grow throughout their life. For example, plants can grow throughout their life. Stimulus. Next keyword, stimulus. Stimulation. Respond to change. Respond to change. These are the important keywords in this chapter. Okay, my dear students. Next, see the picture. Habitat and adaptation. See the picture. Habitat and adaptation. Different types of pictures. Different types of organisms. In this picture, we can observe. Next, one of the activity, plants, animals and other objects found in different surroundings. In the forest, on mountains, in the desert, in the sea, any other. Everyone should perform this activity. Everyone should perform this activity. What type of plants can live in the forest? What type of animals can live in forest? What type of plants and animals can live on mountains? What type of plants and animals can live in desert regions? What type of plants and animals can live in seashore area, seas, and any other? So, my dear students, everyone can fill this table, very, very important in this chapter. Next, habitat. Different types of habitats are there. For example, terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. See, first, what is meant by terrestrial habitat? When animal and plant living in the land. When animal and plant living in the land, that is terrestrial habitat. For example, plant. The plant roots are deep seated inside the soil. The plant roots are covered into the soil. The plant roots are penetrated into the soil. So some plants are terrestrial plants. Terrestrial means land. Next, hardly ever shortage of light. Hardly ever shortage of light means light, the presence of light. Mostly light is present. Next, aquatic habitat. When animal and plants living under the water. When animal and plant living under the water. They have developed vascular and root systems. They have developed vascular and root system. Light is a limiting factor in aquatic habitat. Light is a limiting factor in aquatic habitat. See, terrestrial habitat, see the picture, see the slide. Terrestrial habitat, the land area where the plants and animals live are called terrestrial habitat. The land area where the plants and animals live are called terrestrial habitat. For examples, forest, grasslands, mountain area, deserts, coastal areas. What are the examples of terrestrial habitat? Forests, grasslands, mountain area, deserts, coastal areas. Next, my dear students, see the picture. What is that animal? Camel. 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 What is the habitat of camel? Desert. Desert is one of the habitat. Camel live in desert regions. Camel live in desert regions. Next, see the picture. What is the animal? Fish. What is the animal? Fish. Fish live in water. Fish live in water. Water means aquatic. The animals can live in water is called aquatic animals. So fish is a aquatic animal. Aquatic animal. Next, adaptation in the desert region. Adaptation in the desert. Desert is a very tough environment to live in. So plants and animals living in the desert should adapt to survive in it. Desert is a very tough environment to live in. Means in desert regions the temperature is very high. The temperature is very high. So plants and animals living in the desert should adapt to survive in it. Next, my dear students, next, habitat, the natural surroundings where a living organism lives is called its habitat. The natural surroundings where a living organism lives is called its habitat. Habitat provides an organism with everything it needs to survive. Habitat provides an organism with everything it needs to survive: food, shelter, and proper climatic conditions. Food, shelter, and proper climatic conditions. See different types of habitats: pond, forest, river, and desert. Pond, forest, river, and desert. These are the different types of habitats. Next, see terrestrial habitat. If the habitat is land, it is called terrestrial habitat. If the habitat is land, we know that habitat means the living place. The living place. If the habitat is land, it is called terrestrial habitat. Examples: desert, forest, grassland, mountains, etc. Examples: desert, forest, grassland, mountains, etc. See, my dear students, see the picture. This is a aquatic habitat. Aquatic habitat. Next, grasslands. Grasslands. In grassland areas, forest regions, lion, one of the wildest animal, lion. Light brown color helps to hide in grassland. Long claws which can be withdrawn inside. Both the eyes in front of the head gives correct idea about the location of the prey. Prey means food, flesh, right? Lion. Light brown color helps to hide in grassland. Long claws which can be withdrawn inside. Both the eyes in front of the head gives correct idea about the location of the prey. Prey means food. Next, see the picture. Deer. Deer can run faster. Can run faster to escape from the predators. Predators means enemies. Can run faster to escape from the predators. Strong teeth chewing hard stem. Strong teeth chewing hard stem. Long ears to hear the movement of the predators. Long ears to hear the movement of predators. We know that predators means enemies. Eyes at the side of head allows to look in all directions for danger. Eyes at the side of head allows to look in all directions for danger. Okay, my dear students, next picture. See the picture. Characteristics of living organisms. Every living organisms, different types of characteristics or features occurs. The different types of characteristics in living organisms: movement, respiration, growth, sensitivity, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. Movement, respiration, growth, sensitivity, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. These are the different types of characteristics of living things or living organisms. See the flow chart, my dear students. Different types of living organisms life cycle. First, human, baby to infant, infant to adult, baby to infant, infant to adult. Growth is one of the characteristic in living organisms like human being. Next picture, seeds. Seeds develops seedling, seedling develop plant. Seeds develop seedling, seedlings to plant. This is also characteristic feature in plants. Next, eggs, eggs to chick, chick to hen. Eggs, eggs to chick, chick to hen. Eggs develop chick, chick to hen. This is a growth, development, the characteristic feature in animals. Next, my dear students, very important, what are the differences between living things and non-living things? What are the differences between living things and non-living things? Living things need food, air, and water. Non-living things do not need food, air, and water. Living things need food, air, and water. Non-living things do not need food, air, and water. Living things grow. Living things grow. Non-living things do not grow. Living organisms can move on their own. Living things can move on their own. Non-living things cannot move on their own. Non-living things cannot move on their own. Living things are sensitive. They respond to change around them. Living organisms are sensitive. They respond to change around them. Non-living things are not sensitive. They do not respond to changes around them. Living organisms reproduce themselves. Living organisms reproduce themselves. Non-living things do not reproduce. Non-living things do not reproduce. Living organisms respire. They release energy from food. Living organisms respire. They release energy from food. Non-living things do not respire. Non-living things do not respire. Living organism excrete. They get rid of waste materials from their body. Living organism excrete. They get rid of waste materials from their body. Non-living things do not excrete their body. Non-living things do not excrete their body. Living organisms have a definite lifespan, after which they die, that is, they have a definite life cycle. Living organisms have a definite lifespan, after which they die, that is, they have a definite life cycle. Non-living things do not have definite life cycle. Non-living things do not have definite life cycle. Living things are made up of living cells. Living things are made up of living cells. Non-living things are not made up of cells. Living things are not made up of cells. Okay, my dear students. Next, see the flow chart. The living organisms, characteristics and habitats. Characteristics and habitats. Habitat, the living place, home or place where organisms live. Habitat consists of two components. One is biotic components and another one is abiotic components. Biotic components like living things which affect ecosystem, example animals, plants. Biotic components, living things which affect ecosystem, example animals and plants. Abiotic components, non-living things which affect ecosystem, example rain, water. Abiotic components, non-living things which affect ecosystem, example rain, water. Abiotic factors, right? Habitat, different types of habitats, different types of habitats. Terrestrial habitat, terrestrial habitat, plant and animals that live on land, plants and animals that live on land. Desert habitat, plants and animals live on desert regions. Mountain regions, grasslands. So these are the different types of habitats. And aquatic habitat, plants and animals that live in water. Plants and animals they live in water. Example ponds, lakes and oceans. Example ponds, lakes and oceans. The characteristic features of living organisms, we know that respiration, reproduction, excretion, respond to their environment and grow. These are the different types of characteristic features in living things like respiration, reproduction, excretion, respond to change, their environment and grow. These are the different types of characters of living organisms. See the flow chart, my dear students. Living things like plants, animals, humans, and microorganisms. The different types of characteristic features of living organisms, movement, excretion, respiration, reproduction, growth, nutrition, all these are the important characters of living organisms. See another type of flow chart, different levels of organization, characteristics of living organisms or living things. Grow and develop, grow and develop. You know that living things are made up of cells. Living things are made up of cells. These are grow and develop, reproduce, obtain and uses energy, obtain and uses of energy, respond to the environment, respond to the environment. Okay, my dear students, this is the one of the chapter in 6th class, living things, characteristics and habitat. Everyone learn this topic, very important in 6th class. Our government of AP introduced this topic in this academic year 2023, right? Further updates, further updates later. Thank you one and all. Good morning, my dear students. How are